What's up guys, this is Shereé talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll bring you news from SaGa Universe. They just recently announced two banners for after maintenance. We have Romancing Festival Saruin and Romancing Festival Shereé. Both banners are good, but I do believe that the Shereé banner can be even better because now we have 4 different styles in this banner and they have very good buffs. So let's go straight out to Reddit in a post by Hans43. As always, thanks for the amazing job. We have here Kihachi being buffed to 140% STR, the highest in the game, even now on GP if I'm not mistaken. 105% agility, so she's pretty fast and she wants to be. Her endurance is 75, but that makes sense because she's a kind of glass cannon, and 90% wheel, so that's not really that bad. She even has arrows for wheels, so she will actually have higher values. Now, battle begins. She starts the turn with a down stance that lasts for just 1 turn. Very large effect, meaning that she has a very big chance of being hit, because she will enter also defense down of very large effect that decreases her defense by 50% just for turn 1 as well. She's like a phoenix. She wants to be defeated, reach 0 HP, because then exactly when she dies, she will then activate different passives. There are attack damage increases. I do believe this is for 40% increase. Then damage taken is reduced by 40% at all times. When landing any overdrive or weak attack, she would then activate skill number 3. And she will revive once with full HP. Yeah, when she's hit, she revives and triggers all of these different passes via the skill called Lightning Blade. If she does not do that, she will be locked into only triggering Dual Lightning Blade on overdrive attacks and weak attacks. That is just a 2-hit E-Power attack. And the second way will give you an 8-hit E-Power attack. So it's much better. It's evolving from 2 hits to 8 hits. Slash and lightning both attacks. So she is now a lightning and slash damage dealer. You can still use her without dying if you want, because there's still a chance that she won't die. Remember that you start a fight and you want to cast many effects, like when you bring out Kaiser, you have evasion, you have 50% guard up, you have many defense boosts that are needed to keep your party alive. But you actually want her to reach 0, and as soon as she reaches 0, she gets much better passives. She starts the fight with 15 BP because she needs 15 to use her skill number 3. She also recovers 2 BP when landing a weak attack, and she will trigger this multiple times when she's chasing and also when attacking on overdrive. And also when overdrive, she always casts Laceration for 2 turns, much like her past version. And also on overdrive, she will activate skill number 3. So what will happen when she's on full setup? She will chase 2 times on overdrive, much like her first style. But she will also be chasing every turn without overdrive. So the first Kihachi cannot do that. By the end of turn, she will also get 25 points of OG Gouge. So it takes 2 turns to get into overdrive, and then on turn 3 she will always be on overdrive. Something that is different compared to the past version is that this one does not start fully charged. She needs to build up OG Gouge, so some characters that can give OG points may even speed up the process. But overall, it would take her 2 turns to reach overdrive. On turn begins, she recovers 2 BP as well, and then grants this attack boost. That gives everyone 15% damage increase for just 1 turn, can stack with any source of attack boost, and also a hit up to herself that increases damage potential by 10%, triggers 5 times to all allies. So she herself and everyone else's will get up to 65% damage increase. Well, it's also her only damage passive. She really benefits from having buffers and other characters that will give her extra damage. She also has at least that other one when she dies, that increases her damage potential by 40%. And if she does not trigger the revive, she has low damage reduction. But then again, if she dies once, she will get the damage reduction. And you want that to happen on turn 1 if possible, because she will have the taunt effect and the defense down effect. After that, you will not have those anymore. So she will be on a fight just taking more damage till she dies and then rebirths. Okay, then she has skill number 1, that is free, E-power only, 1 hit, slash and lightning and buff STR by up to 30% on max level. Then skill number 2 is interesting, but this one, if you are using the Rear Guard Focus Formation, for example, you want to use this skill because it gives her a heat up that will increase her damage potential by another 20% for the whole fight, a defense up that increases damage taken by another 15% for the whole fight, and by the end of turn, she will feel her own overdrive dodge for 4 turns and also recover 5 BP. Now, look, if you use this on Rear Guard Focus, it's nice because she will always attack after the enemy, and it will allow her to maybe die, rebirth, and then have overdrive dodge for 4 turns straight. Of course, she may not have enough BP to use her skill tree every turn, but look, she actually recovers 11 BP in a turn when on full potential. She gets 2 by turn begins, then she gets 2 by each weak attack. That will be the command attack, the guarantee overdrive attack, and the extra from her rebirth. So 11, she needs 15. That means that in 4 turns, you actually have most BP to use at least 3 times, and if you have BP generation from other sources, maybe you can even use her skill tree all those turns. So damage will be insane because she's applying Laceration. If you don't remember, Laceration gives you 35% chance to decrease the defense of the enemy by 35. So each hit has a chance of triggering that, and she can attack 24 times on max potential, and that is going to hurt. So she is a stronger version of herself, this time switching code for lightning. And if you don't have the first style, you can use this one instead. But if you have the first style, you can also just give the first style this passive. That will give her the heat up, the defense up, and the overdrive dodge. It will make the first style even better. But when the enemies are weak to cold, if they are weak to lightning, you should always use this one. If they are weak to slash, you can decide depending on the type of strategy that you are using. Both will still work and will melt the enemy. So very nice character, and will deserve a 5 out of 5 in my grading system, even though she may be hard to use. If you don't trigger her rebirth system, she still does very similar damage to first Kihachi because of having higher status and good passives. Moving on, we have Leon, and Leon now is fully defensive, as you can see, 100% endurance and will, compared to his past styles that were usually on the 80s, sometimes on the 90s. They buffed his Dexter to reach 132, that's a very good volley. Has 95 intelligence because he can steal the buff endurance via inheritance, and 88 agility. Well, you really don't need to have very high agility with Leon, but you would want so sometimes because he can apply guard down. So if he applies it before other characters attack, he will do more damage. This guy has 2 damage reduction, 30% on both types. He then has 4 BP when starts for 14. He loses 3 LP because of his passive that gives him 4 different wind chasers. Each turn he will get 1 new bullet without having to load. So he just gets stronger while still attacking, does not need to waste turns. Also, every turn he gets this weak heat up, that increases damage potential by 30% for 4 turns. Weak heat up increases damage only when landing weak attacks, but you will be using this guy for enemies that are weak to blunt and slash only. Then every turn he also gets a super extreme weak heat up that increases it by 50% instead, and then he also has another 40% damage increase. On total, he has 360% damage increase. That's like way more than any other version of Leon in this game. Leon's had sometimes 20, sometimes 60, sometimes just 40% damage passive. This guy has 360 just from this, and it's because he was buffed. Of course, he gets 120 extra just from global. Now, skill 1 is weak. C power has a chance to debuff the enemy agility by 15%. Now, for skills, you may want to load the anti-material bullet if you have. That will use 10 BP. And if you have people giving him extra BP as well, you can use on the second turn. The third skill. This one is nice. You can only use it 1 time per battle. He will give himself a special chase that it's not exactly Wind Chaser, it's something else, but it's C power and deals both blunt and slash damage and recovers 2 BP when attacking. and also gives him another 50% increase when landing weak attacks. He reaches now 410% total, and then he will attack already chasing with the extra bullet. So if you are using his anti-material bullet on turn 1 and then attacking here, on turn 2 you already have the anti-material bullet, 2 wind chasers from his loads, and then another chaser from this. So you already chase 4 times. On turn 2, if you don't have the anti-material bullet, then you start with this skill, and then eventually you have 5 bullets instead of 6. It is still a lot of damage with this character. Well, he then has to use another skill after he uses this, since it's one per battle, and it will be a 10 BP triple S power attack that grants guard down large, decreasing the defense of the enemy by, I believe, 35, and then all of his bullets will do more damage. So he will be recovering a lot of BP, 3 BP per turn. Then he has 4 bullets from Wind Chaser that gives 4 BP, and then 2 extra, for a total of 9 when he's on full potential. But maybe one turn you will have to just skip and use skill 1 instead of skill 2 if you don't have enough BP, but then eventually he will just have enough and keep using this attack that will be amazing. So this Leon is an upgrade over the past versions. It's even better than Summer Leon, can work for long fights, and if you like the protagonist, he's the definitive damage dealer for Blunt. He only competes with Tatiana. I don't know which one is stronger. I'll have to do some tests because now he's much better than his JP counterpart. But he has 2 damage reductions while Tatiana has just 1. And he can participate in Overdrive while Tatiana cannot. There is this difference between the characters. So depending if you are bringing characters that also have OG damage boosts like ScherBR or like Darius, it may be better to bring Leon instead of Tatiana. So it will depend. But this character here receives at least a 4.5 out of 5. He is a very strong damage dealer that is now much better than before. Moving on, we have Shereé, and this is probably the best character of the banner because he will be used in lots of different challenges. He has 101% endurance and 110% will, a bow user with such good status. He then has 130% dexterity for, well, occasional damage if you want to use him for that, and then 99% agility, but you can just use him for support and forget about damage. Well, this starts the fight with 14 BP, just like his past version, and on the turn begins, if all allies are alive, he will then give a 15% attack boost and a 15% damage reduction to everyone. This is a passive that he also has in his past style. But now, if at least 1 or more allies are unconscious, that means they are dead, it will trigger a damage block for all allies, including the one that died. If you revive, it will not take damage, if I'm not mistaken. So 3 times per battle. It means that if someone died, you can maybe recover from that situation and still win a fight because of Shereé. I know that sometimes when people die, they die like plenty. 3 of them are dead. That means that it's just Shereé and someone else, and that is hard to recover from. But maybe you had someone with an AoE heal, like Metrox, survive it. It's not the one that survives all the time. And you can use her Heaven's Heal, revive everyone, and they will still have the damage block. So that is very helpful when it works. Also, he will be buffing Will by 35% to everyone when this happens, to try to protect you from ailments, because ailments are sometimes the reason why you die, because someone got confused and attacked the party. So extra Will can help you survive. Okay, but this is something that is gimmick. Even if you don't consider this, he is already good enough by having the attack and defense boost from his past style. Now turn begins, he recovers 2 BP, he is a 5 BP per turn character. He will also buff all status by 20% for everyone. And then when he activates skill number 3, he has some special effects that I'll be discussing later. Then he has a 20% damage increase. And on turn begins, grants himself a defense up that decreases damage taken by 15%, up to 5 times in battle to reach very good defenses. Now the only problem here is that he does not have a standard damage reduction. He has that 15% from the defense boost, and then 15% from the defense up on turn 1. He does not have an extra defensive passive that decreases damage at all times by 30% or something like that. So pretty much like Nawal's daughter was in the past, she was just scaling slowly, but he scales better. And, well, it may not be a problem because of what else he has to offer. Skill 1 is a 3BP attack, pierce and stun damage, E-power only, and it will recover the user's BP by 3, 5, or 7. 33% chance for each result. So if you use 3 and recover 3, the skill was free, but you got nothing. But if you recover 5, you already have now a gain of 2. If you recover 7, you have a gain of 4. This is to use when you don't have anything else, not enough VP to use his best skills. Then the second one is a recovery spell. It's that very old one called Ray of Hope that we saw with Princess White Rose, that revives, recovers, then cleanses from ailments, and applies damage block to the target. You can even use this just to cleanse in specific situations because it's nice, and you apply damage block, and can also be used in those situations where just one character from the party died, and you want to revive it, and still keep it, well, protected. The third one is his selling point, a fast support skill that gives an attack boost that increases damage potential for everyone by 50%, then a defense boost that increases damage taken by 50% as well, both to last for 2 turns and can stack, HP recovered by the end of turn, that will be around 300 for 2 turns. If you cast it again, you're gonna have 2 effects, and then an OG Gauge fill by the end of turn of 15 points to allies, including himself for everything here. So, amazing stuff, but 14 VP, that's quite big, right? But then it's just not that. When he activates S3, he will then increase the VP limit for everyone by 3 points, and then recover 3 VP to everyone. In global, it is to everyone. In JP, it didn't include himself, as you can see here. And then 3 extra VP is also exclusive to global. Just like they changed his buff from just will to everything. So this guy became much better on global. He can help you with attack, with defense, with heal, and with overdrive. But now, you need to find someone that will help him keep using skill tree every turn. There are some characters that will help him. Like, for example, Monica in the Godspeed transformation will help him, but there will be one turn where he will have to choose to use skill 1. Because he won't have enough to cast the skill. Even through Monica can decrease the BP cost by 6 or 8 points. You still need to have the normal value in order to cast the skill, and then you receive the refund. So, it works, and they will both complement themselves a lot, but one turn you won't have the effects. You have to use skill 1. Then after that, you have a perfect setup of giving 3 BP to people, decreasing the BP cost of skills because of Monica, having plenty of attack and defense boosts as well. He also works with Harji, he also works with Kenji, also works with Thomas. From my memory, those are the best ones that will combo with this guy. Katarina can also give 2 BP, but 2 is not enough. He needs 8 points of BP to reach his max potential of using skill 3 every turn. If you can make it work, it will be amazing. If not, you have to rely on using skill 1 to see if you can recover extra BP to go back to skill 3, and that decreases his value by a lot. If he had a perfect setup, this guy would be a perfect 5, but I'm thinking about a 4.5, but it's still the best character of the banner. That just needs one specific unit to really shine, and if you can do that, you're probably not gonna need to replace your defense booster anytime soon. Just replace your damage dealers most of the time. The guy still gives you healings, remember that. HP recovered by the end of turn 2 times. You can give 30 points of Uji Gouge, 100% attack boost, and 2 stacks of minus 15% damage and max potential. It's a lot of things alongside giving BP to everyone and buffing all stats. Amazing. And I'm thinking about giving him a 5 grade because he's just very useful. And after Katarina, one of the first picks in most squads. And the last character is that Balk. And this guy here is pretty strange. Has 100% endurance and 105% will, alongside 125% dexterity, but 130% agility. Why so much? Because he has a setup made for damage and another setup made for full support. Well, as you start the fight, you have 30% damage reduction, 30% damage increase, and also cleanses. That's the important stuff. You want to use skill number 2, that's 9 BP cost, it's fast, support, can only use it 3 times in battle, and grants this attack boost that increases damage potential by 30%, then also decreases damage taken via defense boost by 25%. Both effects last for 3 turns. So this is kind of similar to what Darius does. Darius is much better, but this guy uses guns. He can use this skill on remembrance to help a lot. But that's not just this, he still has another effect when using S2 that if your allies attack with skills, they will apply a defensive stance versus skills to decrease damage taken by 25%, lasts for 2 turns. This does not stack from my understanding. If they use spells, not many guns characters will be using spells anyway, they will grant defensive stance versus spells for 2 turns as well. Besides that, after using S2, he will recover his own HP and 1 random ally by around 1.2 thousand. He can use skill number 1 after using skill number 2 that will give himself a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%, lasts for 3 turns, recover 5 VP and also his HP by around 1.2 thousand. See that he just keeps recovering? And you want to cycle skill 2 and skill 1 because when you use skill 1, he will recover the usage of skill 3 that we will still be discussing, but also 2 usages of skill 2 so that he can keep using that one. And will also recover 1 random ally BP by 2. That can even be himself. The healings can also be sent to himself. So you want to have at least 2 stacks of attack, defense boost, and also the defensive stance. That will decrease damage taken for Gun Remembrance, especially if we were talking about the future challenges. And then he has skill 3 that is 17 BP cost. That's a lot. Double S power, single target, and can only be used once per battle. And attacks randomly 3 times. 3 times with double S power. It's not even easy to calculate the final damage. It's just a lot of damage. Even if he doesn't have many damage passives, he can still take benefit from the attack boosts, and eventually the damage will be nice. But the thing is, you don't want to use this skill only if you are finishing up a fight. You just want to keep casting the defense boost and the attack boost to help other characters and be healing all the time. But if you want to use him as damage dealer, you can. If you use skill number 3, and you still have a special effect, 50% chance to trigger High Lightning Loop. In the end of a turn, you can recover your HP by around 2000. You then enter this energy charge stance with 1 countdown, meaning that on the next turn you will only have 1 skill available to use for free, and that one is skill 3 again. So if you use skill 3, you can use it again for free 50% of the time, while also still healing. And after you use that skill again, I don't know if you have a chance to keep looping it. I think you have to manually cast again, but overall it can be used on the end of a fight for some good damage if you need. But this guy here is mostly support. You want to use skill 2 and 1 and cycle that. Well, I don't think he is a very important style because he loses a lot to other defense boosters, has some difficulty to use. I think he deserves only 3 out of 5, but for Gun Remembrance he's gonna be very good. Anyway, this banner here is amazing, and I will be giving it a gold award. It's a must-pull banner, especially because of Shirei and Kihachi. If you have Tatiana, you can skip Leon if you want, but Shereé and Kihachi are so good that you should try to get them and use them on future content. You will think about them when you want to do damage and you want to do support, and even Leon when you also want to fight blunt or / weak enemies. With all that said, this is my opinion, guys. Thanks so much for watching this. Please subscribe if you haven't. I'll be making a full review in the future, and I see you after the maintenance, where I'll be pulling for this banner first. This is the one to pull for first if you don't have many gens. But I'll be making another preview tomorrow. With all that said, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon in the next. Goodbye.